right, so I have today here Ryan from MITT. Welcome, Ryan.
Thank you. Nice to be here today.
Maybe we could even start off with what does the acronym MITT stand for, and which location are you at? I think you have more than one location. Is that correct?
That is correct. MITT stands for the Manitoba Institute of Trades and Technology. We are located within 6 campuses within the city of Winnipeg. The main campus is at 130 Henlow Bay, which is in the southwest corner of the city.
Awesome. I didn't know you guys had 6 sites.
Yeah, we have Henlow, we have Fultz, we have Scurfield, which is English Learning Institution. We have 765 Main Street, which is home to our Indigenous youth program called the Construction Labor Certificate Program. We also have another campus down the street near Fultz, which is basically faculty and some additional classroom space for English learning programs.
Awesome. So that's good for our students to know. Great. All right. So the first question I'm going to ask is a little bit of a mouthful, but I'm going to ramble through it, and hopefully you could hear every word I'm saying. In a recent 2019 Manitoba First Nations report, indicated about half of all our participating high school First Nation students in Manitoba wanted to attend a post-secondary institution. But unfortunately, the reality is only about 10% of these students actually attend. What would MITT be doing to help bridge this gap?
Oh, thank you. That's a great question. MITT, as you may or may not be aware, we went through a transition in 2014 from Winnipeg Technical College to a brand new public institution. We're actually Manitoba's last legislated public college institution. So with that, we came along right at the right time. There was some discussion within post-secondary circles for institutions to get on board with the Truth and Reconciliation Commission and the calls to action. So MITT, as I said, came along right at the right time. We committed to meeting some of those calls to action, which kind of set us on a trajectory to focus on meeting the First Nations, Métis, and Inuit demographics of Manitoba for enrollment numbers. We're not there yet, but we're committed to meeting that at some point in the near future. So with that being said, with a lot of the growth, we implemented my position actually. So I'm the first Indigenous student advisor here at MITT, and as well as increase some student supports and safe spaces on campus.
Oh, that's awesome. It's sounds like MITT is doing a lot to bridge that gap for, high school Indigenous students to attend.
Yeah, we branched out into the community. That was one of our pillars. We wanted to go where Indigenous learners are. So we partnered up with a former partner now, the Youth Build International. We ran a Youth Build training program out of 765 Main Street, right in the heart of Winnipeg's North End, where we offered adult learning grade 12 certificate program, as well as a carpentry level 1 on site. Unfortunately, that partnership, ceased to exist recently, and the focus then turned towards a certificate quick training program to get students the necessary entry-level skills in construction. And that's just one example of our mandate to reach out to the Indigenous community. We have partnered with and established advisory councils, and we just want to get a sense of what's going on, in the Indigenous community, and try to meet those needs.
All right, and speaking of meeting those needs, what are some of the campus services available specifically for your First Nation students that are attending?
Yes, as I mentioned, my office is at the main campus, and at the main campus is home to the Ajagan Indigenous Student Center, which loosely translated, Ajagan means Cree, and it means bridge in Cree and Ojibwe, sorry. And it basically replicates our corporate identity. Our logo is a bridge, and we like to bridge the gap between our graduates and their respective employers. So that's sort of our corporate mandate. And I was tasked with coming up with the concept. So, you know, when I presented it, it was well accepted, and I wanted to use the space as a place where students could, showcase their identity, their culture, place to hang out, a place to mix with other like-minded students, and also a place where they could just, do their homework, hang out late, and have a smudge space ultimately.
It sounds like it's a nice close-knit community once you're at MITT.
Yes, it is. We also have the Indigenous Student Circle, which is our student club, where students, as I mentioned, the mandate of the college is to bridge the gap, not only between respective employers, but between the cultures that are represented on campus. MITT has about 60% international student enrollment. So as you can see, there's a lot of, new immigrants, new um, students from, many corners of the world, right? We have students from India, China, uh, Brazil, like you name it, students are here in Norway. And so it's a nice opportunity for students to share their cultures and interact. And at the end of the day, the Ajagan Student Center is also a safe prayer space for our Muslim students on campus. So they have opportunities to connect, share their culture, share their experiences, and break down, stereotypes as both go into the workplace.
Now, I'm guessing at one point you were a first-year student at somewhere, right?
Yes, I myself, I have to go. I'm feeling really old now,
Yeah, I
but
was gonna say you're probably gonna date yourself if you say a time period.
yes, I was actually talking about it the other day. I still have my very first email account still,
Okay.
and I was just thinking back because I had to actually start it when I started school. I enrolled in. I was a high school dropout, so I was a father at a very young age, at 16. So I had to leave school. It was, a difficult trek for me to get where I am today, but through perseverance and dedication, I was able to, go through Red River College, do my upgrading, get my grade 12. Then I went into a program called the Aboriginal Self-Governance Program back in those days, which had a partnership with the University of Winnipeg. So my post-secondary journey was filled with, you know, multiple institutions, meeting tons of people, getting involved. I was involved with the Students Union at the university, with the Students Association at the college too. So getting involved in volunteering with students actually led to where I am today. So I just want to kind of throw that plug in there for you students out there.
So what is campus life like for a first-year student?
Campus life, it's difficult because I had to relocate from Saging First Nation, and I was fortunate to get sponsorship from my band. So I felt as though I carried a weight around with me that I had to be successful. And with that being said, failure just wasn't an option for me. So not to say that I didn't have a lot of struggles, because there were many struggles, but I managed to find like-minded peers again, people who want to, advance their potential, right? And so I found a good core of students that I clicked with, and I also connected with our student services on campus, and that was very helpful because they showed me, how to manage my academics, how to pick courses later on in my university tenure, how to access funding supports, bursaries, student aid, things like that, right? And just to, you know, get involved in the campus community. I think that's a real important part of post-secondary training.
Yeah, I think everything you said there has some real merit. So I hope some students out there that you're paying attention, because that sounds like a great ways and possibilities to fit in. And you know what? If Ryan can do it, you can do it too.
And if I could add, university and college are two different you know, two different, what's the word I'm looking for? Two different beasts, I guess, if you will, because college, it's, you know, you have compounded assignments, tests, you know, midterms, group projects. Everything is coming at you really quickly. And after I left my 2-year diploma program at Red River, when I went to university, I was like, so when's my classes? Oh, it's like Thursday afternoon. I'm like, okay, what am I going to do with all this extra time, right? So, you know, so just be cognizant of time management. That's another real critical piece, because, you know, you could get yourself involved with, you know, a lot of negative stuff if you don't stay on path and, you know, manage accordingly. Because in my role, I work with students who, for whatever reason, life happens. And, you know, at the end of the day, um, you know, there's family emergencies, there's, you know, things that pull you away from the classroom, right? And it's tough to manage. And with that being said, there is also a student responsibility that you need to maintain and keep. And as you will learn, and I guess for those of you that are in grade 12 now, a lot of you would have experienced that by now. But you know, time management is critical, and managing that time effectively is the key to success.
Do you offer at MITT any kind of services or booklets to help students manage their time well?
We recently started a series of webinars to you know, to share information with students on how to manage their time effectively. We like to share our own experiences because we do bring a lot of experience with us. So when we meet one-on-one with our students, you know, a lot of the time management and time management is critical to their success, because a lot of the time they're working and they're doing other things that are restricting them from studying, right, and from being successful students. So I like to remind our students that there's only 24 hours in a day, and you have 8 hours for class and 8 hours for sleeping. What you do with the other 8 hours is what could make or break your post-secondary experience. So keep that in mind.
Words of wisdom, definitely. So moving on to the next question, Ryan, if I live on reserve or federal land, what kind of bursaries or funding would I have available for tuition or cost of living to attend at MITT?
A good question. I guess in general terms, there's different funding streams for different Indigenous groups. First Nations, within the First Nations realm, there's two streams. Now, some of the communities and tribal councils that I work with and the Métis Federation, um, there's funding dedicated to short-term programming, which is what we offer here at MITT. And there's also funding dedicated to post-secondary university training programs, so 3 or 4 years. Now, you could access both your internal First Nation resources, or you could access provincial resources as well too. So things like employment and training, student aid, and those types of things. And also, like I said when I was telling my story, connect with student services. Just go and explore the campus, go and talk to someone, you know, introduce yourself, because those support staff will lead you to a lot of financial supports, because there's many out there. We just recently partnered with Inspire a few years back to offer some supports to our First Nations, Inuit, and Métis students. We also have a wonderful relationship with the Manitoba Business Council, who um, awards, you know, bursaries, nice amount of bursaries, mind you, like I'm talking $2,000, $2,500. Um, that's dedicated for students to lower their debt, to pay off, you know, debt, to buy equipment, tools, to pay for transportation, to buy clothing, supplies. So there's tons and tons of financial resources out there, and you just need to connect and explore what's available to you.
I was wondering if part of that connection and exploring, if maybe after the video, we could provide some links that you guys might have on your website.
Yes, for sure. And that's just what I'm talking in general terms, like what's out there for students, but each post-secondary institution has their own internal awards as well too. At MITT, we do have some dedicated Indigenous scholarships for incoming students. We partnered recently with the Southern Chiefs organization and Vicar Chevrolet in offering a scholarship to incoming Indigenous students from the 34 SEO communities. We also have women in trade scholarships. So if you're a female who's exploring, or a person who identifies as female who's exploring training programs, then you would be eligible for those scholarships. And of course, we have some internal supports through our student services department, where we grant one grant each semester, sorry, to our students who display a financial need. And when I say financial need, let me just say that if you're a student, you're probably in financial need. So you would definitely qualify.
Yes, very true.
And that's even if you are receiving sponsorship or government grants or student loan. Anything that leaves your budget in a minus, and if you're not employed while you're attending classes, then you will be eligible for these bursaries and scholarships.
Now, if I'm a high school student and I want to attend MITT, what kind of admission marks would I need to kind of focus on?
That's a good question. Now, I just want to throw another plug in there for those of you that don't know, but we are a real unique post-secondary institution, and we're also a secondary institution. Not much people know, but we have our own high school program that's run out of our college, as well as we have many hundreds of students that come to us from the various school divisions in South Winnipeg. You could be a student at MITT, and you might be sitting next to a student who, may be 17 years old and is just finishing up their grade 12. Or you could be sitting with a student who is looking for skills development, but is older and going through a career change perhaps. So there's a lot of diverse students here. And as I mentioned, there's a lot of international students. So when you put that all together, it's quite the environment and very, very unique. So if you're a high school student interested in one of our 25 plus post-secondary students, you would basically need grade 12 math and English.
Now, I know you kind of alluded to this already right at the hop, but I'm going to ask again, and then maybe you could highlight again some of the things. What are some accommodations specifically for Indigenous students living on campus?
Some accommodations for those students living on campus?
Yeah, like do you provide smudging, elder access, any peer learning, Indigenous study groups, or anything like that?
Yes, we do have as I mentioned, we have the Ajagon Indigenous Student Center, which is home to our Indigenous Student Circle, which is our campus student club for Indigenous students and allies. We also have my role here as a student advisor. I work primarily with most Indigenous students. If they, express the need to connect with me for bursaries and supports and some external referrals, then they can come to me. We also have, other student groups on campus where we like to co-host, some large events. Unfortunately, of course, that hasn't happened in the last 12 months or so, but we're trying to evolve to accommodate those needs virtually. We also have other supports include, we have a lending library here where students could access, various Indigenous literature, local literature from local Indigenous authors. We also have a nice space for students to just hang out, watch TV, play video games. So we have a nice little lounge set up, foosball table, student lounge across the Indigenous student lounge too. So there's kind of a commons area here at the Student Success Center that students could access. We also have social supports. If students need food, we can help them out with, food vouchers and things like that. Bus fare. We have a lunch program. If students, express if they're struggling financially and if they're hungry, they can come and see us. We could, buy them lunch at our cafeteria. So it's the little things. If they need, boots, we'll be willing to purchase them in advance of your, funders. Um, uh, in advance of the students, accessing those supports through their funder, we could get it for them right away. So it's the little things we like to say and help, because we know at student services here, we know that the little things, if left unattended, could, turn into a snowball effect, and it may affect their academics, their standing, and ultimately, their confidence, right? So at the end of the day, we want them to succeed. Their success is our priority.
Oh, I totally agree, Ryan, that it is the little things. Students are under immense amount of stress as it is. And so it doesn't take much to tip that scale.
Yes.
All right, moving on to the next question. After COVID-19, will your institution, MITT, still provide online learning from home so I can remain on my reserve or complete my diploma or certificate? Or will I need to move into Winnipeg or somewhere else to attend MITT?
A really good question. I don't think I could answer it wholeheartedly, because I think that's being sorted out right now through our management circles, I guess, if you will. But one thing I could say is that, throughout the COVID pandemic, um, our institution was able um, to evolve to meet those student needs, as I mentioned earlier. We were we had our students back last year in the shop, I think right around the same time as some of our competitors. So, because of the technical nature of our programs, they had to be in shop to learn those skills, right? So, we instituted a COVID plan that was pretty successful. Obviously, we're still in code orange here at MITT, and students are still in their cohorts, coming and going at their scheduled times, and the staff have been very flexible, and most notably the instructors have been really flexible, and learners too, in this whole experience. But I can say for some of our programs, especially those in business and IT, maybe perhaps there may be some sort of plan to offer it externally, through virtual means.
And you know what, with MITT and learning trades, that's just the nature of the game, that it's mostly has to be on site and hands-on, and that's where the equipment is, right? And so that's where the safety and the learning has to occur. And so
Yeah.
that totally makes sense what you're saying.
Yes, but if you were to ask me, in my personal opinion, I would say this is such a wonderful opportunity to branch out and to extend programs to rural and Indigenous areas of our province. And, especially with some of the news with high-speed internet reaching the north, I think there's going to be a lot of potential for growth.
Yeah, I was just in the meeting this last week with the potential of using satellite for internet. So that will be a big game changer if that ends up happening for a lot of reserve communities.
Yeah. And, that's kind of, that's really helpful too, because in Winnipeg, there's, like, let's face it, there's a housing shortage right now. And for students, with little to no credit, or history of rentals, it's tough for a lot of people to get housing right now. And we actually help a lot in that area too. We help guide students to housing support. So with that being said, if it can be delivered in their home communities, I mean, that would, go a long way in ensuring their success.
Well, we'll have to stay tuned to see how much that evolves.
Mhm.
So moving on to the next question, it's getting a little bit more technical with some stats here, but 26% of our First Nation students surveyed in Manitoba in a MFNERC survey in June 2019 said they wanted a career in art, audiovisual technology, and communications after high school. What do you offer for these type of courses?
We have our network security diploma program. We have our cyber defense cloud administration program. We have our software developer program here at MITT. But also you can probably throw in there business, our business admin program, and as well as we have a really unique program in the graphic arts area. It's called the graphic and print technician program, where it gives our students, um, entry level, um, oh, what do you call it? Photoshop, graphic arts, sorry. So it gives those students the entry level graphic arts skills that they need to apply in the print industry. So you could literally take and design an image. You could put it through Photoshop and then print it out on, wraps or paper or whatever, areas. And that's basically the future of printing. And we're really proud of that graphic and print technician program. So I think if students do express, and you mentioned 26% of them did express an interest in those areas, then MITT would be a leader in that area.
Awesome. Now, in the same survey, 28% of our students said they wanted a career in medical science and technology. So there might be some overlap here, but what courses do you offer in these areas?
Our sectors are human services. We have healthcare programs. We have our healthcare aid unit clerk program, our medical office admin, our rehabilitation assistant program, and also we have our ECE program also in the hair and culinary arts sector. Also, we have skilled trades, which is, and if you want, I can name them. We got industrial welding, carpentry, electrical. We have electronics. We have CAD technician, drafting, uh, motorsport. We also have millwright. Um, I think I mentioned welding already, and auto mechanics. So there's a good variety of different trades, and as well as tech programs, as I mentioned, and healthcare.
Well, you jumped ahead on me, Ryan, and you just answered that last question I had, which is okay. It was going to be 47% of our students surveyed that they want a job in the trades. And so for you, listing all those trades is great.
Yes, if I could just stress the importance of Indigenous people getting involved in the trades. As I mentioned with my personal story, when I left my community, my relationship with my partner didn't last at the time. So, that's ultimately, that was, for me going out and trying to find a better life, right? My partner at that time, fortunately, didn't share that the same enthusiasm. So my relationship suffered, but I managed to, carry on. And I was fortunate though that I, made the choice to go the path I did take, because my other choice would have been civil engineering. And quite frankly, I was getting the hang of all of that math and stuff in the grade 12 upgrading program that I was in. But something was telling me that it wasn't the right choice. And, I had a passion in community development. And I have a passion in history, law, politics. So I kind of weighed my options there, and I went with the path that I chose. But it's not to say that, I probably wouldn't have been successful had I went through civil engineering route. But I just knew that it wasn't a passion. And I think that's important. So if you have a passion, if you like working with your hands, if you like, having a new task to do every day, then, the skilled trades may be that option for you. Because the skilled trades, there's a huge payout, if you will, I guess, to take in these short-term programs. You see, when I was in my last year of university, I think that would have been 1, 2, 5, my 6th year. My first job out of university was working with students, and I think it was like $11.50 an hour. Now, I took it because that was all I got right at that time with my arts degree. So, but that choice, and that position, it was a supervisory role, so within a students union. So it actually led to, boosting my resume, gaining that experience. And like I said, it was a passion of mine working with students. So, but some of my students, and this is the point I'm getting to, some of my students, you know, when they complete their welding program or their millwright program in 10 short months, mind you, their earning potential is so high that, like that alone right there should be cause for consideration in getting involved in the skilled trades, because, as I said, they're leaving our institution and making 25 bucks an hour. So their earning potential is there if you like working with your hands, if you like, learning new things and working, different locations, perhaps traveling, then the skilled trades might be for you. Or if you just want to, do something repetitive, that's also an option too. Or if you want construction, a lot of our millwrights and welders, they work in mines, they work in the sorting centers, pork production facilities, bus manufacturing, aerospace, etc. Right? So there's lots of opportunities out there, and if it's an interest, go for it.
Can you get, can students, if they're in a trade at MITT, earn money as well?
You mean earn money like while training?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually our program at 765 Main Street, the construction labor certificate, I do believe 4 months of it is training in-house, and there is a 1 month practicum placement where the employers, for the most part, are committed to keeping them on in some capacity. Now, and in the past, I do know that there were some paid positions, or some paid practicums too, but I'm not sure, with COVID and everything, where that stands right now, unfortunately. But one of those programs were the auto mechanics programs, for instance, where they would do 5 months in-house and 4 months on the job. And that would have been, a paid practical experience. So
Nice.
there is some programs, but not all.
Right. Well, that's good for students to know and look into more from themselves. You know what, Ryan, I really want to thank you for your honesty. I think that a lot of students can relate to what you're seeing because of your so genuine honesty in this interview. So I really appreciate that. I just want to thank you for your time as well. And yeah, like Ryan said, students, follow your gut instincts, follow your passions. They will lead you to your career.
Yes, for sure. And one other thing is definitely, be confident, put in the work, and know that you belong. I think that's important. A lot of times, a lot of our students lack the confidence, and lack the confidence to be successful, not only, like at the college level or within the training level, but into employment, right? So if you have that enthusiasm and you have that desire, if you have the work ethic and the attitude, then I have no doubts that you will be a successful employee and successful, I guess, adult.
Awesome. Those are great final words. We're going to end it right there. Thank you again, Ryan, for your time and your words of wisdom. We'll post some of the links at the end of this video, and students, stay tuned for more videos to come.